What's up guys, this is Best and today it is Maxime coming at you with my Fire Fist deck profile again. This is one of the many like 6 or 7 iterations of Fire Fist, but this one is F.A.T, so Fire Fist Artifact Traptrix, and I think is the 2nd or 3rd best variant of the deck depending on how you look at it. Mainly because this deck is super strong against Bunny Abyss and PK Fire for various reasons, but I'll get into that. So, the first card I'm going to profile in the deck is a really cool one, an interesting one. It's Majesty's Fiend. Now, the reason why Majesty's Fiend is good is self-evident, right? It just negates monster effects, so it just renders Cosmo absolutely useless. Which is why this deck is also quite good against Cosmo. It is really powerful against Bunny Abyss because they need to get their Dantes going to actually win a game, and they need the graveyard effect, so this card's amazing against that as well. 2.4k beta is also nice, but the main reason why you can actually run this is because you have so many free pluses from graveyard in this deck. You have Wolfbark for free pluses, you have your Dionea, you have Call of the Haunted, you have your artifacts for tribute fodder, so yeah. Majesty's Fiend is a great card to run in the deck, and I run it over Vanity's Fiend because I think
it's a lot better.
It's just better, yeah. More effective. So then we have the 1 Wolfbark to go with the 2 Bear. Now these numbers are quite interesting, and some people may be kind of annoyed at this, but basically, because we are running now artifacts, so it's a 3-way deck instead of just it's 3 ways, so you don't need to run and. Before, with the hands, those were just a side component, and now that the deck is split equally into Fire Fist, Traptrix, and Artifacts, you don't need such a big Fire Fist engine. So I cut the Gorilla because I just straight up didn't find it necessary. I wasn't needing a Gorilla because I had the Artifacts, so I cut that, and therefore I didn't really feel justified in running 2 Wolfbark, 3 Bear, and I didn't need the 2nd Bear, the 3rd Bear anyway, because I have enough removal with my Sanctum, so I cut the 3rd Bear, so now I was running 2 Wolfbark, 2 Bear, and that's just stupid because you'll be drawing Wolfbarks and they'll be dead most of the time. So I run 1 Wolfbark, 2 Bear, and it just runs perfectly fine. Then onto the Traptrix, you run the 3 of one of the stupidest cards in the game. It's just a 3+, 3 Traptrix Memelio. It's just normal summon, search a whole card, you know. It's just a 3+, and opening with this card is great. And to go with it is the 1 Dionea. Basically a Wolfbark for Traptrix, but Wolfbark, key difference is Wolfbark is not once per turn. Wolfbark is once per turn, well this is when it's summoned, sorry. So yeah, it's slightly worse than Wolfbark, but it is 1.7k. And you've got to remember that if a Traptrix monster is special summoned from the graveyard, it has a different effect. So if Memelio is special summoned, it acts like an MST where it nukes the card on the field. And if Dionea is special summoned, you get to add a Traptrix card from your graveyard to your hand and set it. And if you don't use it by the end of your opponent's next turn, then it's sent to graveyard again. But this is great for protecting you for 1 turn and keeping you alive.
Yeah, those cards are very hard to deal with considering they can't be destroyed by whole cards.
Yeah,
so they're quite annoying to play against.
Solemn Strike is basically the only thing that works against them. And then onto the artifacts, I run 1 Moral Tark and 2 Scythe. I'm not running Beagle Tark because I don't think it's that good right now. Beagle Tark was amazing in the format before last, where pendulums were just in Pepe format, where the pendulums were all running around and dominating the format, because Ignition was ridiculous with Beagle Talk, and you could just take out a bunch of artifacts with Ignition. But you don't run 3 Ignition, or any Ignition in this format, I think at least, because none of the big decks are properly, like, the 3 big ones are PK Fire, Monarchs, and Cosmo, and none of them use pendulum monsters, so you know. So you don't want to run Ignition. And I'm running the 1 Moral Tark because this one, hopefully, fingers crossed, the next ban list will bring us Moral Tark back to 3. And then 2 Scythe, because this is the reason you have such a nice Bunny Abyss and PK Fire matchup. Because this is stupid. It's your opponent can't use the extra deck, so it's amazing against any Synchro deck even. Connor's Blackwings generally lose if I open 2 Sanctum because he has 2 useless turns.
And my 6 Sams are countered hard by that card.
Yeah, so Scythe is a great card, and that's why Corey McDuffie could win so many tournaments with just Scythe control. So yeah. Then, onto spells. I did cut the Thunder King because I just didn't find it necessary. But yeah, 3 5-formation Tenki. It's just a free search card, generic, you know, opening Tenki is always perfect, and yeah, great card. Then the 2 Polar Duality. You need consistency, especially with the fact that you can draw Scythe and Moral Tarks and they'll be completely dead. I think for the first 10 duels I played with this deck, I drew Scythe like 6 or 7 times. So that was just bad luck. But, you know, duality really helps with the consistency. I wouldn't run 3 because you do run Call of the Haunted, Wolfbarks, Dianeas, Sanctums. So you don't, yeah. But Upstart would be better than Prodigy, but considering Upstart to 1, I run 2 pop. Then the 1 instant fusion. Normally I'd run 2, so I'd see it more, but you don't run that many level 4s because you have the artifacts, so I only run 1. And then the 2 Lance. Lance is even more important than it normally is in any Firefist deck. Because if you look at your monsters, every single one of your monsters, you need to make sure their effect goes off. You need to make sure Majesty's Fiend's effect keeps going. You need to make sure Wolfbark goes off. You need to make sure Bear Pops go off. You need to make sure Mamelio's Search goes off. You need to make sure Dianea's stuff goes off. And you need to make sure all your artifacts go off. So Lance is an amazing card. And the way it synergizes with Bear, so you deal damage and then get a step 5 formation, so you're safe for next turn, is just ridiculous. This card is so good in this deck. Actually amazing. And then for the back row removal, I run 1 Mystical Space Typhoon and 1 Twin Twister. Twin Twister was really good in Firefist Traptrix hands and in any Firefist deck because it helps you get stuff in the graveyard, but you don't really want your artifacts in graveyard unless you're going to Call of the Haunted them. And I just found that 1 MST was superior to the second Twin Twister because because you don't need to discard anything, and every card in the deck is valuable. So MST was just good sometimes for just getting your own Scythes to go off in their turn on Moral Tarks and just instant getting rid of any Scales or Floodgates. And then for the last 3 cards, 1 Regeki, 2 Dark Hole, Genetic Removal. I love these cards. You have very few monsters, so, well, not very few, but you have a low count monsters, so you need to make sure you clear their field, and, yeah.
Honestly, this field removal is the most annoying thing to play against.
It's so good.
Maxine finds himself drawing into like
So
a Regeki
good.
in the Dark Hole every game, and he clears my field. It's ridiculous.
On Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, I opened Regeki, 2 Dark Hole, and
Jesus.
Torrential Tribute Solemn Warning. It was the funniest
wow.
thing. Yeah, but these cards are great for the deck. And Dark Holing a Bear or Mamelia and then getting it back with like Instant Fusion or Dianea or Wolfbark is really, really powerful. So yeah. I don't run Soul Charge. You could run Soul Charge. I was testing it. I didn't like it. I don't like taking so much damage. And you already take so much damage from Time, Space, and Warning and stuff, so yeah. Then I run the 3 Sanctum. You run artifacts. Sanctum's stupid. 3 pluses.
Yeah. Plus you can pop a card once it's destroyed.
So yeah, if they do MST it, you chain it, you get to pop 2 with Mortark and stuff, so yeah.
It's quite OP actually.
It's a really good card. And then I run the 3 Mirror Force. Good card.
Battle Trap.
Yeah.
Good for removal.
Love this card. I don't like any of the other... It's strange, but I actually don't like any of the other Mirror Force variants in this deck. I don't like, whatchamacallit, the one that bounces them all back to deck if they attack directly, like Drowning, I think.
I think it's Storming.
Storming, whatever. No, Storming's to hand.
Is it? Oh yeah.
If they attack. But Drowning is, I think, if they attack directly and you bounce them all back to deck. You should always be in a position where you should always be in a state advantage with any sort of hat variant of any deck. You should always be in a state of advantage, so that should never be live. And I don't like Storming because I feel like I'm using my... If I give you your cards back in hand and I've already used some of my Time Spaces and Bottomlesses, I'm going to be in state of disadvantage, so I want to send them to graveyard. So yeah, that's just my reasoning on it, but you know. And then you have to run the 3 instead of 2 Call of the Haunteds, because you can Call of the Haunted an artifact, and that is stupid. Because if they're in graveyard, it's not a problem, because you can get them back, and it's ridiculous. It's also good, of course, with things like, you can Call of the Haunted Mamelio to pop like a Floodgate, you can Call of the Haunted a Bear to pop a Wolfbark, and yeah. Can't Call of the Haunted a Majesty's Fiend, but you know, you can Call of the Haunted some tribute fodder for it. And then the 2 Time Space. It's better than Traptrix Chapel Nightmare. It's just a great card. And it's really, really quite good because it doesn't send them to grave, it maps them back to deck, so Cosmos and BA and PK5 and stuff can't get their effects off. So yeah, it's great. And then you run the 2 Breakthrough. I think Breakthrough is superior to Phoenix Chain in this deck at least, because it's not as essential as in any other Firefist deck to keep your monsters alive. because you do have the 3 Call of the Haunted and just so many ways of reborning them with Instant Fusion and stuff. So I think the double use of Breakthrough is a bit more important.
Yeah.
And Breakthrough helps you get over 2 Wicked Witches, which is the only Cosmo card this deck struggles against. That card is stupid.
And yeah, you can choose to use it during your turn, which is also really good if you need to get a quick effect off the field to pop off.
And it's also a nice discard fodder because you can discard and you know it'll be live later.
Yeah.
And then for the final 3 staples, I run the 1 Vanities, the 1 Warning, and the 1 Bottomless. Just to quickly go over these, Bottomless, like self-explainable, super live because of Mamelio. Warning, because it is, once again, like, the Cosmo matchup is difficult for this deck, but as long as you can get rid of if you can stop their Wicked Witches getting on board, you have a really fair chance, because this deck has legitimately no way of getting rid of Wicked Witch at all. Like, there's just nothing. Besides going into an XE, you can't destroy that card. So you need to run the Warning. And Vanities is obviously a great card. And it's super good because this field is practically unbeatable. You can't special summon, and you can't activate monster effects. So the only way you can get over this is have an MST or have
something that lowers that thing's attack, so you can just beat over it.
But you can't activate monster effects.
No, like a Forbidden Lands or something.
Oh yeah, I guess. But yeah, you need either some board clearance, you need some sort of clearance or Forbidden Lands. So yeah. So onto the extra deck. I run the 1 Tiger King. I think the logic tells you that you should run 1 Tiger King because you run 1 Wolfbark, and it's practically impossible to actually get the second Tiger King on unless you have like an instant fusion and you make some Call of the Haunted plays and stuff. But I've never ever needed the second one. But this one's really live, especially because it's basically a skill drain, except for your own monsters. So that's a really powerful card. And you can run the Cardinal because the Cardinal is actually really surprisingly live. And the Cookers, you can first turn bear and then tanky and then second bear. So yeah, 1 Tiger King. And then on to just generic XCs. I run the 1 Dark Rebellion. This card is super good, especially against stuff like Monarchs. So yeah, the 1 Diamond Direwolf. It's particularly live because you are a Beast Warrior deck. The 1/101, just a good card. The 1 Diamond Crab King, generally just to keep you alive. If you first turn something like a Diamond Crab King, it's quite nice just to keep you alive. And it has 3k defense, so it's good against Dark Destroyer.
Oh, I hate him.
Yes, the crab. You could run Bujente Kagasuchi, but I don't think you run it. The Fire Fist isn't a big enough part of the deck for you to run, just to justify running Kagasuchi. And then I run the 2 Castel because that's what really like puts the nail in the coffin of PK Fire and Burning Abyss. The ability for them to stop one of your Castels and then immediately go into a second one. So I like running 2 Castel. But you can run anything you want. Extra deck is really preference. 1 Abyss Dweller. It was either 2 Castel or 2 Abyss Dweller, and I went for the 2 Castel because that's what I found myself needing the most. And then the 1 Steel Swarm Roach. So yeah, this is just particularly good against Synchro decks and Cosmo sometimes, and so yeah, it's just a great card in general. That's it for the generic XCs. Now on to like some kind of interesting ones, I guess. Gagaga Samurai and his brother Gagaga Cowboy. I don't think Cowboy is too strange, but Samurai is quite interesting. Cowboy I really like because this deck kind of doesn't have that too many threats, I guess. So you do need the last 800 damage, and making this at the end of a at the end of a 3rd or 4th turn is always really quite nice. So yeah, and then Gagaga Samurai because it gives, if you have the ability to make 2 XCs, you can surprisingly deal 6.8k damage in 1 turn with a slow control rank 4 deck. Because all you have to do is go into Crab King, Gagaga Samurai, you do 6.8k, and then they have to deal with a 3k defense, probably 1 or 2 trap cards, one of them being a battle trap, and a Gagaga Samurai which will double attack you the next turn. So yeah, these 2 are really nice. They're great cards. And then the 1 Daigusto, because Daigusto is an obligatory card in this deck. It's just amazing. The 1 Heartland Draco, because this card is super live with your tankies and just straight up steals games altogether because that 2k going across any masters is amazing. And then the last XE, before we go on to Norden, of course, you have the one Durandal. You can run a bunch of things instead of Durandal. You can run Volcasaurus, you can run Constellar Pleiades, but I just found that Durandal's the nicest one. So yeah, it's cool. And then the one Norden, because you run one instant fusion. Now onto the side deck. I'd like showing this, but it really depends on every player, and I really haven't put too much thought into this side deck because I'm not going to any big tournaments.
Yeah, I think it's the same as the one from the other
It's the same as the other one, but just in case, you know, it doesn't matter. One Vanity's Fiend to go with his brother. Never side in a Vanity's while you still have a Majesty's Fiend, because that is suicide. One Doomstar, because you can plus off discarding cards like that. What's quite cool is you can just keep looping, discarding bears, and special summoning back with Wolfbuck if you have a Doomstar or Wolfbuck on, so that's kind of fun. One Neospatian Grand Mole, because I hate Dark Destroyer, and I hate established boards. And two Flying Sea, because this card is actually strangely live still. And it really annoys Burning Fist as well, because that's kind of funny. Then onto spells. One spell, Shattering Arrow. This card is stupid, especially against the Magician Pendulum decks that are still running around, and the Pendulum decks that are bound to come back, because that's what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is about, increasingly. The one D-Fissure. This is a really, really scary and kind of risky card to play in the side deck. Don't play it if you're not confident playing it. Only side this card in if you know, because D-Fissure will obviously damage your deck a lot, because you special summon so much from Graveyard. And I would only side this in if you know it will hurt your opponent a lot more than it will hurt you. I would only side this in against Burning Abyss. Like, that's practically the... And Burning Abyss and Dark Worlds, if you ever come across
Dark Worlds, I love them.
Cancerous deck. So yeah, and the two Prohibition, because this just destroys any stupid Dark Lord decks you might come around, or any boss monster decks or rogue decks and stuff. And it's just a great card as well. And then for the two third triples of back row, three Grand Horn of Heaven, because this card's amazing against Dark Destroyer. It stops his pop effect going off, and it ends their turn, so it stops any deck popping off, really. It stops OTK decks in their tracks, which this deck kind of struggles against. So yeah, and then the 3 Imperial Iron Wall, because it just hurts a hell of a lot of decks, specifically, Cosmos, and Ritual Beasts, because, funnily enough, we thought we got rid of Ritual Beasts, but they're getting new support in an upcoming set, so, you know, keep that card around. So, thank you very much for watching, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Maxime from the Abyss Dwellers, and I'll see you guys later.